SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com. Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, or a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, and I'm welcoming you to explore another wonderful episode of some beverage culture. We come to you every Thursday at 6 on SoFlo Radio and ByTheGlassShow.com. I am joined by my guest host, Jason.
Hey now.
We got I've Been Bad on the board.
Yes, I am.
And we have another really great show set up by the amazing Ed Roberts. Tonight we bring you NakedWines.com. Now, Naked Wines is a really interesting crowd-funded concept. I'm going to use that term loosely because that might not be the way they want it explained, but just so you guys get the idea what's really going on, I think it's a good term, and I think it kind of ballparks it. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, so crowd-funded concept for wine as opposed to buying wines like we do in the retail outlet to where they might incur the fees of marketing, production, and whatnot, which drives up the price. These guys are allowing you to buy through that wonderful thing that we call the internet and get it at a better price because of this concept that they've put together. They do all the work as far as production and marketing. However, you incur the difference in price. That's nice.
Yeah. The discounts are pretty significant, too, if you go check out their website, us.nakedwines.com.
Got to do the U.S. because I do believe that this was started in the U.K.
Oh, okay.
So there's a U.K. version. What did you see when you went to the website, Jason?
All kinds of wines. I think it talks about how you can become an angel and get the discount.
Very cool. And
But,
we're not talking about Charlie's Angels, except for George really always wanted to be Bosley.
Yeah.
Kinda looked like
Charlie. I think Charlie was probably doing a lot better than Bosley.
Bosley hung out with the Angels.
Yeah, I think whatever Charlie had going on, I'm pretty sure it was probably
He had a really cool
good.
speakerphone.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think Charlie?
I think Charlie had like 10 angels that you never saw, like giving him, walking on his back or something, oiled feet.
Do you think he'd be that cool today? I mean, he had like an iPhone on speaker. Right?
Yeah, they would have to have, update that if they did the movie.
Well, they
guess
did do the movie, but
Uh,
that was still a few years ago, and people weren't. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we're going to get a really great call in from. First, we're going to get from the CEO of Naked Wines calling in, Rowan Gormley, and a very interesting gentleman. Rowan, he is a South African gentleman. He started this up, I think.
So one of my questions: can you get wines from all over the world, or just buying wines in the U.S. if it's U.S.?
Well, I do believe that there are wines because it's also open in Australia, and he's from the UK, so I would imagine that you can get wines from all over the place.
Okay.
It says the founder, who's Rowan Gormley, a South African-born entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, I see it
he
here.
started
Yeah.
this NakedWines.com in the UK, and he brought it to the US, Australia. So 150,000 angels around the world, I would imagine. But that doesn't really answer the question, Jason. That's a good question.
No, but on their site it does say France, New Zealand, where it's made.
Perfect. So I do know that he brings in winemakers from all over the place. You can become, if you are a winemaker, and I think this is really interesting. I can't wait to hear him explain this, but the gist of it is if you're a winemaker and you want to get involved with these guys, they pick the fruit, bring it to their Sonoma winery. It's like a contract vintner aspect. You know how we have contract brewers?
They have contract.
Yeah,
vintners.
they have contract vintners, and they're making it, but you get to chime in on brix levels and acidity and all kinds of aging and what type of wine you want it to be, fruit forward, acid forward, what type of style you want, oak you want.
Do you know the
stainless steel.
winemaker from the ones we're tasting tonight?
I don't know the winemaker from the ones we're tasting tonight. However, we are lucky enough to have that winemaker calling in on the show. As a matter of fact, former Kendall Jackson winemaker Scott Peterson is calling in on the show tonight. Now, Scotty graduated with a degree in fermentation science from the University of California, Davis, which is a pretty prestigious school, especially for that type of thing. I wish I would have got a degree in fermentation science.
Absolutely.
You know, when I was like in my late teens and early 20s, I didn't even know there was such a thing. But that's because
You can even sort their winemakers by rating and everything.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, that's the
website.
beauty of the internet, that it kind of makes things easier to cut out all the red tape, especially if you got somebody who's a pioneer like this guy who's going to go out and create it for you. So he creates this whole concept, and it really makes all these wonderful winemakers come to light, and it cuts out the middleman. You know, in the past, it was very, very hard to get a wine off the ground. You'd spend more money on marketing and production costs than you would on just getting the vineyard going and actually creating the wine, I would imagine. So this really cuts all that out. So
You could follow him like on Twitter.
you can follow Scott Peterson.
I haven't seen his name on here actually. Let me search for him.
You can follow Naked Wines on Twitter for sure. Yes, I actually
no,
tweeted
you can follow
out.
the winemakers. Scott
Oh,
Peterson,
great.
there he is.
Oh, great. Now Scott is a he's been a winemaker at Villa Mount Eden, Con Creek, Kendall Jackson in the last 10 years. He's worked as a consulting winemaker with the international clientele, producing wines in California, Argentina. He actually produced wines for Catania brands in the Chile's Colchuaga Valley. Now, we have some people that we know from that part of the world, the Catania people, the Tikal Winery. I'm going to ask him about that because we had Matthias
had him
Fraga
on.
on the show.
Yeah.
Actually, he was in studio, remember?
Oh, okay.
He flew in from Argentina. George, do you remember that?
I do.
His
He was a good
arms
guy.
were tired.
And-
He was classic. He was with our lovely, lovely sushi lady, not the sushi lady, sake lady, Morgan.
That's
Hartman.
right. Morgan Hartman's great.
We speaking of
Nice
sake, we
teeth.
should have a sake show coming up soon.
Yeah, we should.
Well, we
I
need to
had
reach out to Morgan.
Sake the other day, man. So
She's
good.
awesome. Oh, we haven't heard from her in a while. She came over when we first got the new studio, and we did a Chile show on all the Chilean wines. Remember?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. We had some good times. But so getting back to these guys, so we're very lucky to have Mr. Scott Peterson call in. He is a veteran in the industry, and I'm interested in seeing how he likes working with a new startup company like this, where he has more freedom, as opposed to something who's a more of a core element in the wine world, such as Kendall Jackson or some of these other wonderful wineries that he's worked with. So very cool. So nakedwines.com, folks. It's very neat how it's all about. Basically, I'm going to let these guys get into it more, but you start off by pledging. It's kind of interesting because you don't really have to give that much money, and you don't have to buy right away. The thing
kind
is,
of put money in the bank.
by putting money in the bank, you can fund someone else's inspiration, and then once you're ready to buy, you can buy really great wines at much discounted rates. So I think that it's a win-win. We have some really great wines here tonight. I know the first one we're starting out with is the Rocks Chardonnay Sonoma Coast. Now, this is a rich, generous, unapologetic Chardonnay, 100% French oak and fermentation, and a blast of ripe orchard fruits. It simply puts you in another place. George, you like those ripe orchard fruits?
I do. I sit around and wait for them to get ripe.
Yeah.
You know, and then I raid the orchard.
Absolutely. So I have not had a good Chardonnay and 100% oak, French oak fermentation in quite some time. We tend to get a lot of stainless steel these days on the show.
This one's
And-
supposed to be oaky, it says.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. And the thing is that he's an integral part of the KJ winemaking team, defining California Chardonnay in the 90s. And that Cali Chardonnay style is known over the world as unctuous, ripe, and full throttle. But he loves working with Angel Funding because it lets him take the wines he makes the wines he wants. And he's an
Well,
old school guy.
I
So.
read a little more about it. It's $40 a month,
Right.
and you get a free bottle of wine. It looks like, and 60% off on all their products. So
That's fantastic.
yeah,
And
I
the
mean,
wine,
if you're already spending that money on wine, you might as well join this club,
Absolutely.
and you're gonna get good stuff. for
Interesting
cheap.
thing is, and I'm sure they'll get into it. It's not a wine club, so you're not with. I would imagine that wine clubs, they pick little boutique wineries that are already created. They'll go around, pick boutique wineries that don't really have the marketing, and then they'll sell to a specific customer, and that in turn helps the winery out by getting them customers. But these guys, it's not like that. You're paying into the future of what winemaking can be. So the concept is really through the roof on what they can do here. And
I love the face shots of the most popular winemakers. You got.
Oh yeah, those are the most popular winemakers.
Yeah.
These guys are check that out. Some hardcore posing going
yeah,
on.
for sure.
It's neat though. You got guys from France, USA, right? France, a lot of France,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Argentina.
Argentina, Chile.
Wow, that's amazing. And they got a lot of really these wines are exceptional. I wonder, it's kind of like they say what if I wanted to wanted you to make my wines and that type of thing? They're pretty open to it. It seems. But it's the angel investors that made the nakedwines.com so successful. It acts like a tech startup and uses grapes instead of silicon or software to deliver the goods, which is pretty interesting in this day and age. I wonder if they do a radio show funding type of thing.
Hey, there you go.
That'll be something.
Do some
George's ears
crowd-funded radio over here.
The problem with I was thinking about this. The problem with crowd-funded radio is we already give it away for free.
Yeah,
So
not me.
you do charge.
Well, the YouTube videos are free, so I always make it free somehow available.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, but if you basically give it away for free already, I mean, you can charge like $1 a month, unlimited view, and that kind of thing would work. That would just be people helping you out. But if you get enough people to help you out, it would definitely work. And I think
a million people give you $1, you got $1 million.
that's what I'm talking about. So. Who's heard of this one before? I think I texted this to you, Jason. ConnectPal. George,
I
you heard
did
of that?
see that. Yeah.
No, I didn't. That
So
wasn't me.
Oh, I'm just saying, have you ever heard of it?
No.
So let's talk about it a little bit here. So
How does it work?
ConnectPal.com. Jason can pick it up. So you go in and you create a profile. Now, I don't know exactly how this will work because you have to get people from all over
To actually go there, who's going to go there?
to go there, right? So I mean, are there people out there on ConnectPal.com like
I guess
shopping
you would have
on the
to have
site?
a product people actually wanted to see or listen.
Right. Well, I would hope that this is one of them. But I'm just saying that there's people already shopping on ConnectPal.com, and they are.
I guess. I don't know. I don't see any content. I don't see any content.
Oh, very interesting. You don't see any content, but it tells you how to sign up, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, that's not what I saw yesterday. If I went to it on my phone yesterday, and it was pretty interesting. So, but the thing is that I feel that it's very similar to where you're creating something and people can buy into it, and then once it's substantial, then they get the goods, and that's that whole crowdfunding concept. However, we are already free every Thursday at 6 on SoFlo Radio and BuyTheGlassShow.com. If you go to BuyTheGlassShow.com, I have 200 shows that are just sitting there waiting for you to play. You're also on the YouTube. Jason, you're going to create our own YouTube channel?
Yeah, we'll try and create that.
But you also have many shows that are already uploaded to YouTube.
We actually do. We're getting a call.
No, that's...
Oh,
somebody
yeah,
else.
we're actually
Hi,
getting
is
a
that
call.
Ed?
Oh, okay. Hey, welcome to the show, sir. How are you today?
I'm very well. How about yourself?
Very good. This is Mr. Rowan Gormley, correct?
It is.
Absolutely.
Ed, I'm in a car. Is that okay? I'm only going to be in it for another 5 minutes. I'm just running slightly late.
No,
Do
that's
you want
quite-
me to
No, that's
complete
quite...
the journey, or you're out like this?
That's quite all right. As long as you're comfortable to talk, we're good. We're very good.
Sure.
So we
Fantastic.
were explaining to our guests about the nakedwines.com. Wonderful concept. To explain it as a crowdfunding type of thing, would that be wrong in a sense?
No, that's exactly right. The whole idea is that our customers crowdfund our winemakers, and in exchange, instead of getting equity or dividends or any of the normal rewards, they get to buy their wines at wholesale prices when everyone else has to pay retail.
It's absolutely wonderful. So initially you invest in the winemaker, though, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Now, in doing this, do you have a facility to where you actually create the wines, or do they produce the wines on their own and then you ship them? How does it work?
Both. So we've got a winemaking studio in Sonoma,
Okay.
and we've got 25 winemakers in there doing their own thing. I think with 67 different wines under one roof. And then we make wine in 13 other countries around the world, and everywhere you go, there's slightly different arrangements. Some of them are their own wineries. Some of them are custom crush. You know, in Europe, you have a lot of big co-ops who've got a lot of spare capacity. So a lot of our guys rent space in those. It's every combination under the sun, really.
That's fantastic. So how do you pick your winemakers?
Well, we've got a guy called Matt Parrish who has got the lovely job of being able to do that. And he was chief wine officer of Treasury Wine Estates, which, as you know, is one of the kind of giants of the industry. And we got him to join us precisely to get someone who had the network and really knew who the great winemakers were, and he goes and finds them for us.
Oh, that's fantastic. That sounds like a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the concept here that you talk about a lot on the site is the angels, and that's
Yeah.
the people themselves. Could you explain to us the whole concept of the angel?
Sure. It comes from the early days of the theatre when people who wanted to put on a show before the days of private equity would get a whole lot of individuals to invest in the show. And in exchange, what they would normally get is free seats for them and their friends. And they were called theatre angels. And when we decided to set up Naked Wines, we knew what we wanted to try and do, which was to try to make expensive wines affordable to normal people, but we didn't know how to do it. And the thing we eventually figured out was the only way to make that happen was if you could fund the winemaker. There's no point trying to screw the winemakers because small winemakers are already pretty hard screwed. So we had to do the opposite and try and help them. And to do that, the money had to come from somebody, and we didn't have any. So we had to get the money from our customers. So we created this angel scheme for them. And practically the way it works is people put in $40 a month. It's their money. They can spend it on whatever wines they like, or they can let it build up in their account to buy something special as they like. So it's not like a wine club. We don't ship people wine without them asking. The customer buys what they like when they like. And while that money is sitting there, we use that to help fund the winemakers. So it's a combination of subscription and crowdfunding. I think that makes it very, makes it a powerful model.
Absolutely. It sounds very, very intriguing. This is the first of its kind. Is that correct? Or?
I think so. There've been, well, in a funny way, crowdfunding has existed since Roman times. But, so crowdfunding is not a new concept. The only difference is that it's now done by strangers who never actually physically meet up. And instead of a small number of people putting in a lot of money, you've got a lot of people putting in a tiny amount of money. But it's very effective.
It seems very effective. What's interesting is we have a lot of people on this show who are phenomenal brewers of beer. And we've had this one guy last week who was just, amazing. The best beer, some of the best beers I've ever tasted, which he made in his own apartment. So
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. These guys were here.
Yeah,
they
it was delicious beer.
He actually won the Sam Adams
Long
shot, which is a home brew contest. Sam Adams recognized him out of 5,000 people in the United States. So he was just exceptional. But I said to him, so how are you going to get up? How are you going to get started? What are you going to do? He says, I don't know. Because especially in South Florida, where we're located, there's a lot of people who do really great brewing, but there's no facilities. There's no contracts open with even contract brewers. They're just stuck. They have nowhere to go. Do you think that this concept would work with a brewing aspect?
Yeah, I think it could. It's very similar to wine in that, firstly, good winemakers tend to be bad salesmen and vice versa. So often the best winemakers they're not. These are not guys who trying desperately to make money. They turned on by their wine. And when you're tiny, your costs are screwed. You to go and for a winemaker to go and bottle 12 bottles of wine will cost $20. For us to go and do it, because we do it in volume and we've got negotiating power, we pay $9. And, all of that money you can slice off out of stuff that you can't taste, like the bottle, the label, the packaging, the delivery, is money that comes off the price the customer has to pay in the end. And if you don't have those advantages, I think for a small guy to get going, it's just so tough. Regulation, as an example, it's a big, expensive, complicated business. And if you're trying to do that all yourself, well, you've got no time left over to brew any beer or make any wine. It's almost a full-time job on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you guys have your own little community that you're building here, too. Not little, worldwide. But the Naked Discussion Groups. I like the name of that, by the way. It kind of it plays in the mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what's very nice about it is how nice our customers are to new people. So anyone who comes on and says, I'm new, what shall I do? They're pretty much guaranteed a helpful, constructive answer from someone very quickly. And it's a very open, warm, welcoming community. I'm also surprised by how collaborative our winemakers are, to be honest. I thought they'd all be like shit, to try and keep the recipes a secret, but it's completely the reverse. They're very open and collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting here. I noticed that you're from South Africa, but you started it in the UK, I believe, and
Yeah.
So the marketplace aspect of the UK. I think the 3-tier laws don't exist obviously over there, so it's different how you can interact. Correct over there, and talk to me if you wouldn't mind about this marketplace aspect.
Sure. So 3-tier is unique to the US, and obviously is very, very restrictive. But because we're not a wine retailer, we're a winery because we ferment wine. And if you're regulated as a winery, the laws around direct-to-consumer shipments by wineries are much more open than the laws around being a wine retailer. So, in fact, the system's not very restrictive for us. But it does still mean that in quite a few states, we still need to go through a wholesaler and a distributor to get to the customer, which just adds a bit of cost and complication on the way. But, that's the price of doing business, yeah.
Right, because some states allow you to ship directly, and some states don't. Correct?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. I know that New York. I go up to the Finger Lakes wineries up in New York. We have in-laws have a house up there, beautiful on Seneca, and they were just recently able to ship, and I think it opened the whole place up. So in the last few years, it's really been booming because of that. And that's whoop. So as you can tell, we're popping the bubbly. We just popped open a beautiful cuvee. Can I see that, Jason, if you wouldn't mind? It's the Donaldson Blanc de Blanc, Sonoma County. So talk to me, if you would, please, about this wine, this lovely sparkling.
I'll tell you about Wayne first. So Wayne Donaldson was the sparkling winemaker for Chandon in the US and before that in Australia. And so, Chandon's one of the great names of sparkling wine, and he's someone who really knows his way around it. And he was one of the winemakers that our chief wine officer, Matt Parrish, knew and brought on board. Unfortunately for us, because sparkling wine takes a very long time to make, to make a good vintage thing, about 30 months. Fortunately for us, Wayne already had some in production. And it wasn't easy to sell. So when we turned up, he had wine and needed an outlet, and we had an outlet and needed some sparkling wine. The fruit itself comes from Carneros, which is the bit of Napa which sticks out into the San Francisco Bay. And that makes it cold and wet and chilly, which means grapes don't really ripen, which means that they've got high acidity, which makes it perfect for sparkling wine, because sparkling wines need higher acidity to carry all the bubbles. And, it's premium fruit, A-list winemaker, and it's the same price as you pay for something pretty ordinary.
Yeah, this is exceptional. This is anything but ordinary. Bright acid, wonderful fruit. I love the Carneros region. Is that Chardonnay that you're planting down there? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
you can totally tell this lovely green apple, almost a little box pear on the nose.
Excellent carbonation.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is exceptionally made wine. The packaging, everything about it screams lots of money. What would something like this go for on the site?
$15.
That's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I mean, $40, you can't even buy dinner for that.
Thing, Exactly.
And plus,
you're
I
not
mean,
an angel,
you're just banking that money. It's not like that money goes.
And if you want to, I beg your pardon, sorry.
Oh no, I was saying you're banking that $40 every month. It's not like it
Diminishes.
diminishes. Yeah.
Exactly. The other interesting thing about this wine is it's had 30 months surlise. Surlise is the period when to make a sparkling wine, you make a normal wine, then you put in yeast and sugar, basically, and you do a secondary fermentation. And the contact with the wine and the yeast in that secondary fermentation is what gives it a really good champagne, for kind of bready flavor. And normally, I think in champagne, the legal minimum is 12 months, and they'd normally do 12 or 15. This has had 30. And so that bready flavor you're getting coming through, it's the kind of treatment normally reserved for vintage champagnes.
Absolutely. Now, this is Method de Champenois, Surly, and you spindle it in an A-frame, 30 months, disengorge, the whole concept, and handled that way.
The whole thing. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And you can tell. I mean, right off the bat, it's bright, it's lively. There's such a wonderful balance, nuances of fruit in the aromatics that just sparkles upon your tongue, and then finishes with crisp, bright acid, which is just lovely. This is something, it reminds me of something right out of Rem or, Epernay, or just amazing. It's exquisite for $15. It's just
Thank you.
exceptional. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to get in on this. It's unbelievable. So how many people do you have? How many angels do you have? How big is this thing?
We have 222,000 angels around the world.
Wow.
Wow.
And,
Some escrow account.
But you're also
make it a-
big production costs too. I mean, you're taking these wines. I mean,
That's
look at the handling involved. And the interesting thing is that you guys are just cutting all the money that would go to like somebody else. It's just you to produce it and what the winemaker makes in profit and what we gain in sales. I mean, that's all that's really there in that 15. It's all it would be the same. All the rest would just go to all that other $50, $60 for, a bottle of champagne, on the lower end. That just goes to the, out the window, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is if you buy a $100 bottle of Napa Cab,
Right. Yeah.
there's only about $10 of Napa Cab in there, and there's $90 of stuff you can't taste. And, our philosophy is if you can make it for 10, we'll sell it for 20. And if that's a great discount off the price someone else would sell it for, we're fine with that because we're still making a decent margin. It's not like we're not doing this for charity. It's a business.
Yeah.
But it just happens to be a good way to do business.
It certainly is. That's fantastic. I like the fact that people, if they think that you're looking for talented winemakers, I love that you just can bring people into the fold. Because there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of talent. Like I've been a musician my whole life and just playing music forever, but I never really had a way to get out there. Right now I do a radio show and I'm doing the. I wish I could. Like I was telling these guys, I wish you had a crowdfunded for radio shows. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's just something. I have a lot of things that I like to do. If I was a winemaker and came across you and had this opportunity for people to taste my wines, I don't want to be rich. I just want people to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So to speak.
Exactly.
And it's just amazing.
For a lot of winemakers, the reality of it sounds like a glamorous job, but the reality of their lives is they spend 6 months on the road selling their wine.
Yeah.
And very little time actually making it.
And the rest of the time,
for a lot of them,
they're farming, right? A lot of time they're out there in the fields, tending to the grapes. Yeah. Which is
and
not
for a lot,
easy
a lot
work.
of them, the biggest reward is simply that they get to do what they love, which is make wine.
Yeah. And to have people try it and to get great feedback. And it's nice that more people can try it too because let's face it, there's not a lot of people that can afford a $100 bottle of champagne. But to be able to have this and to experience what the real aspect of these beverages are all about on a normal person's
budget.
One of the astonishing things about the wine business is most people believe that good wine is expensive. But when you actually get into it, the difference between, let's say, market average Napa Cab, 6,000 a ton, super premium Napa Cab, 8,000 a ton. Well, that sounds like a lot of money. Yeah, it's about $2 a bottle. That's all.
Oh, really?
And so to actually make premium wines with absolute first-rate fruit, good handling, great oak, good winemakers, it's not an expensive business.
It really is. It's fantastic. Unbelievable. I can't tell you how much I love this, and I think me and Jay, I think you got 2 new angels coming on board.
Absolutely. Sounds like a good deal.
It definitely is, and this is lovely, definitely, and it's wonderful.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and we just thank you so much for taking your time and calling in. It's an absolute genius idea, and I wish you all the best. And thank you for thinking of this, and for guys like me and Jason who just love great wines, but certainly can't go out and spend the money for the exquisite
Yeah.
ones, So fantastic, Mr. Rowan Gormley. And this is nakedwines.com, folks. Go out there, check out the site. And,
US.nakedwines.com.
I'm sorry, US. That's very important.
Yeah.
And become an angel, right? That's what I tell them.
That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time,
you so
sir.
much.
It was an absolute pleasure
Thank you, brother.
talking to you, and thank you for creating this wonderful entity. All right?
Likewise.
Have a great
Thanks very
day.
much.
Take care. Bye. Very, very cool.
Yeah, especially since it just banks. I thought it was $40 a month, and they just took it from you.
No, but I would imagine,
You
I
bring
would
that.
imagine if you want,
Well, if you want wine, it comes off of that. Yeah,
right, then you have to put more in.
Yeah.
You got to keep it at 40, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Well, that's fair.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
And
that's great.
I mean, say you just let it build up a little bit too, you'll be fine. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys tried this wine. What do you think, George?
It's incredible. I mean,
I mean, literally, guys. I mean, this
and
is like.
it's-
Did you hear how he talked about it? Really good wine is in the experience of creating it and then creating it in traditional methods. I mean, this is made the way they make champagne. Carneros grapes are second to none.
it tastes like champagne.
yeah, it's very champagne-y, but still it's got some sulfur. I mean, it's got some nice minerality that I like.
You know what? George Good knows sulfur. There definitely is a little bit of spark in there.
And I like that.
Yeah, that minerality definitely comes through. I like the crisp acid.
Yeah, it just finishes
Lovely.
lovely.
Crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It cleans your mouth.
Okay, so we got another caller who's going to call in. I'm not
Like
sure.
right now.
Right now. It's Mr. Scott Peterson. Now, he's a winemaker with a degree in fermentation science. He's also a consulting winemaker with an international clientele. He's worked for such great entities as Villa Mount Eden, Con Creek, and Kendall Jackson. And welcome to the show, Mr. Scott Peterson.
Hey, Brett. How are you?
I'm
This is
doing
Scott.
wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for calling in. I know you're very busy, and we do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
So
love
what's up?
I love this naked wines concept. We just had a really good conversation with Rowan Gormley, and he told us all about it and how it works, and we think that it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of takes a while to grasp it. I'm not sure I still have, but it is a complete different way of doing business, and I think as a wine consumer becomes privy to it, that it's going to be pretty exciting. It is exciting, actually.
It is exciting, and it must be exciting for you. Now, someone who's come up in the classic traditional sense, brought California winemaking and Chardonnay, as everybody knew it, and really exploded the segment to where it is today, and then to branch off and be able to be a little rogue, taking all that experience and kind of doing it in a different way through an entity such as this. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's a wonderful opportunity. As a winemaker, we're trained both education-wise and from past experience, how to make wines, et cetera. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're a good businessman, contrary to what a lot of us think. And I've been involved in several projects, et cetera, and it's just refreshing to have the opportunity and to be essentially told to go out, chase some grapes. Let's agree upon a style that I'd like to make, and then go out and do it. And nakedwines.com has really followed through on everything they said they would. Thanks, Roland. And we're putting it into the bottle. So it's really pretty cool. We have my first release, the 2012 Rocks Chardonnay, is a real classic, and by classic Chardonnay we mean full throttle. Lots of barrel ferment, lots of yeast autolysis, kind of creaminess and malolactic. And then essentially the folks at the team at Naked bottle it, package it, and then it's all e-commerce. So it goes directly to the consumer, which is very cool.
It is very cool. I couldn't believe he said 250,000 angels out there.
That's amazing.
That is quite a huge audience. Did you think that it would?
And I wonder how many we got just today.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you got two more for sure. 'Cause Jason and I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
That's the thing. It's not really a lot to risk. I mean, you spend $40 on lunch. I mean, to get into
well,
it.
and then you can either get something or you can parlay it. I was out chasing some grapes in the Sonoma Coast with my boss, Matt Parrish, yesterday, and we're looking at some of the premier properties along the Sonoma Coast, and trying to solidify blocks and doing kind of what I call kind of a spice rack component to produce something that's really creamy and a very, I would say, textured, a serious Chardonnay at wholesale pricing, if you will, more or less.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we just tried the Donaldson, the Blanc de Blanc. It was a Sonoma County, and he said it was
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Carneros grapes made completely traditional style, spindled, disengorged, the whole 9 yards. You can't find something like that for. He said $15 on the site. Blows my mind.
And Wayne's kind of an old guy. I mean, he's been at this for a long time.
Yeah. Very cool. Well,
I like the name Rocks. Is that your design or?
Well, it is because originally I was very excited to do a Cabernet-based wine from the Sonoma side of the Mayacamas. The Mayacamas is the mountain range that separates Sonoma Valley and Napa Valley, and our brothers to the east in Napa do classic, very, very good Cabernets. And Sonoma's, I wouldn't say it's a stepchild, but a lot of times the other side of the hill hasn't had the marketing pedigree that Napa has. And
I
so
like
really
Sonoma
wanted
better than
something
Napa, but I'm crazy.
Well, Pepper, of course you do. Definitely, you've probably been out here. But so I wanted to do something that was based on Sonoma Western phasing from the Mayacamas. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of glasses one night, and my girlfriend and I were sitting around, and I came up with this idea of I called myself the retro winemaker. And what the hell is that? Retro means that I've been doing this for 26 years, and I wanted to do something in a classic style, which is attention to the fruit source, the growing, French oak barrels, small lot production, et cetera. And so I came up with ROX, retro, excessive, and extractive. So that's kind of where the ROX came from.
You could say this wine rocks, right?
I wanted to play on that too. That was like the third glass of wine.
Yeah, that's classic. Well, I love this wine because I haven't tasted it yet, but putting it right up to my nose, and it does remind me of that retro because I get a lot of that really nice creaminess you talked about. The malolactic comes through, really lovely. Just those apples and butter kind of just float up at me. Nice, wonderful notes of the oak and everything. And this really does its signature California Chardonnay. Which,
well, thank you very much. Thank you. That's,
it's definitely something that a lot of people tend. Like I was telling Jason, I say, it's funny. We've had a lot of the Chardonnay we have tried in the last year or so. It's been all stainless steel. Everything kind of gets to a new place and then it kind of stays there, and no one's doing anything else. Did you notice that?
How boring. Yeah. I mean, we kind of go up and down with California styles, and it's based on benchmarks in Burgundy. Cordon Charlemagne, Louis Tour is probably my benchmark. And those are wines that are in a high percentage of new French oak, where the leaves are manipulated or stirred, resuspended, full of malolactic. And I think that, as you get into that second sip of the Rock Chardonnay, that you'll see that it's textured. There's lots of layers of complexity. And by that, I mean, there's not just any one, it's not butterscotch or pure pear fruit or pure white stone fruit, but there's lots going on. And then as the wine starts to warm up a little bit, then it's a white wine, obviously, then more and more develops. And that's pretty cool. That's a signature of attention to detail, I should say.
I love it because the acid and then the butter, they kind of mix to balance each other, which is a really nice mouthfeel. George was telling me he gets vanilla. And that's
butterscotch.
Yeah.
Well, he was getting vanilla. You can get that from the oak. There's all different nuances. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of complexity, like you said. There's not just one thing going on there. It's a definite structure throughout the wine. So it's lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Done really nice. So
what I like about the website too is you can comment on the wine and he'll answer back.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you like having that direct interaction with the people, or how does that?
Well, it makes everyone pretty honest.
That's true.
And we're encouraged at Command Central at Mullen's office to interact with the Angels. I mean, after all, they're funding us, and you get a real sense of you can't please everybody, but what your ultimate consumer is enjoying. And if they're hopefully enjoying this classic Chardonnay, then I'll make some more. If they want a little stainless steel, then perhaps another winemaker will make more of a stainless steel oriented Chardonnay. But I get on about every half an hour, about every 2 days, 3 days, and spend, I might answer about maybe 25, 30 of them. But it's a novel concept. It's never been done before.
This whole thing is just
It's amazing you get to actually talk to the winemaker.
it's great because it brings it the human aspect. A lot of wine today is so much marketing and pretentiousness, and people. I think it kind of some people get drawn away from that, get pushed away. But it just makes you feel like you're really a part of the whole thing, whether you're an angel or. You guys even bring in new winemakers that you feel are worthy, and it's just a wonderful way to go about the whole business. I think it's just fantastic.
To be enjoyed and consumed by humans,
Yeah.
definitely.
Hey.
This great country is built on the backs of small businessmen.
That's true.
Who's going to rely on that?
I agree. Hey, you say that you've done some consulting and with some international clientele for Catania brands. Do you know Matthias Fraga from the Tikal Winery? Did you ever meet him?
From what's his name? I'm sorry.
Matthias, like Matthew, like Matthias Fraga from Tikal. We had him. He actually, yeah. It's funny you said Catania brands, and that's one of the brands. The Tikal is one of their Argentina brands, and he was in the studio. He actually flew in from Argentina. He was doing a tour in the United States. We brought him in. I just wondering if you ever met him. So really cool guy, and it seems like down south they're just more. They're really more one with the grape. It seems those guys, they come, and you talked about some of the tribes and tribulations that he had to go through with some of these making these vineyards work, and replanting new types of grapes and everything down there in Argentina. It was just amazing. So very cool.
Well, Tikal is the son of Ernest Quintanas,
Right.
of Ernest Quintana.
Right.
He's the son of Nicholas Quintana. I helped start that project years and years ago, but it didn't have its own winery then.
Oh,
We were
okay.
in Queen. It's been familiar with the vineyards and definitely with the wines. Yeah, they're great.
How do you like things? How do you feel about the way the wine's coming about in different parts of the world, such as Argentina, Australia, and whatnot, New Zealand? What are some of your views
Well,
on
I think
that?
we saw a explosion of technological advancement through money, through fine winemakers, through the share of interns, and certainly UC Davis, Fresno. There's a Dynamite Catholic University with an ag department in Chile. Mendoza's got a very good enology program. So I know that in the early 90s, mid-90s, there was kind of an explosion in quality where people really started to pay attention to not only the fruit sourcing, but how it's handled, how it's manipulated, sanitation in the winery, and then came packaging. So I think that since about 95, the last 15 years, we have catapulted maybe a generation in quality. And a lot of that was due to U.S. help as well. Definitely. I mean, there was myself, Paul Hobbs. There was a handful of folks who were going back and forth for several years.
Yeah, and we've all benefited from it. Fantastic. No, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. It's an absolute pleasure talking to you and an honor.
Yeah, what a
Someone-
great wine show today.
Yeah, fantastic. Veterans calling in and taking their time to call in by the Glass Show and talk about this really great entity, which is Naked Wines, a good crowdfunding event where you can go on nakedwines.com, become an angel for $40, and join an entity that's really taken it to the next level of what modern wine making and purchasing is really all about, with great people like Scott here. Thank you so much for calling in, sir. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely, and stop by and see us when you're in Northern California.
So you're out. You actually have a facility in Sonoma, correct?
We're in Sonoma County up in Kenwood.
Okay.
There's 25 winemakers share that facility. And then we have another tasting room, blending offices over in Napa, in the city of Napa.
What a great community.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll make it out there one day, and we'll definitely look you up.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and take care now.
Uh-huh.
All right. Awesome. So
Two great people.
really great. Yeah,
Indeed.
really fantastic. These people are just. I mean, he's an icon in the industry. He's worked with everybody. He's a consultant. He's been all around. Creating such wines as this. What do you guys think of that wine?
Oh, it's delicious. Yeah.
I love
It
the
really is.
complexity of it. I love a wine to where you get one complete flavor and then a whole nother flavor, and they bounce off each other. Right? They're dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't
that
look at
really.
this one.
Yeah,
It's
that
got
was.
great,
lot.
great rating on,
absolutely.
on there.
And this wine rocks. I love saying it. He's like, that was the third glass. Retro obsessive extraction. So that's really neat. And it's a beautiful packaging. Folks, these wines are exceptionally packaged. They're beautiful. Everything about them screams what you're going to pay 100, 150, 200. I mean, high
So
end.
if this guy's in another position, he might have to sell all his grapes or all his mash or whatever it is to some other guy to make in his bottle. But this Naked Wines is enabling him to bottle his own stuff.
Right. Well, he's got
get
the
it.
experience of being a winemaker and working with large entities such as Kendall Jackson for his whole life. But now he's as a consultant, he also gets to make his own wines with his own entity. He gets so
That's
now
what I was
so,
trying to say.
so he's like doing his own thing now.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
it's
that's
kind of, it
awesome.
would be really tough to get to that. I would imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, if
How much
someone's
money
just growing
and
some
time.
wine or growing grapes, they might have to start out small, and maybe they don't have a bottling place. Or
It was kind of like I was saying. You could be the best artist, but where do you begin? Playing rock
like
clubs in
getting
South
signed to a
Florida.
record
is-
label.
but
You
that's
could-
not even going to get you
you
anywhere.
can
I
get
mean, this
signed
is
a million times. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
but this,
you got to
this,
write a hit.
these people, they have an audience already. It's like, it's a really great concept. I love the fact that they're doing it with wine. I wish we could get it into, I wish they would have this type of concept for other things, because it's exciting.
I think it's called Facebook.
Yeah, but that doesn't do anything for you. I mean, it doesn't do anything for you. You're only Facebook. You can only get out to the people who you're friends with. You know what I mean? These guys, they can 250,000 people.
That's $960,000 a month.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
But think about the cost of
You don't have
how
to pay in every month though, do you? You just you buy in.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
you
as long
buy.
as you, I think it's $40 a month. Yeah, it either you got to squirrel it away or use it.
Right.
So I think you do got to pay $40 a month.
So if you're paying $40 a month for you're going out and spending
but
that
it's
much
like
on
a
wine
bank.
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not spending it, it's just going in the bank.
Right. Exactly. And they probably have a good market money manager.
Money
Yeah.
market.
Money market manager.
Yeah.
So it probably is making interest.
They're making pennies on
It's
everything.
a business, like you said. He's not lying to you. It's a business.
Yeah, but the discounts
But it's a
they
business
offer,
where you benefit.
the discounts they offer are substantial and well worth it.
This is by far the best value, of course it is, that we've ever had on the show.
Yeah.
To have a sparkling Methody Champenois, which is spindled and gorged, it takes them 30 months to make that bottle. 30 months. That's exceptional. I mean, literally, like I said to him, Epernay, Rem, those are two of the most, I don't speak French well, but those are the three, like the regions in Champagne. You're not going to pay. I mean, you can get a bottle of the Louvre Clicquot for like
Don't look at me.
$50 during like Christmas time. You know what I mean? Because they bought in 100 cases at a store, and that's like the best you'll ever. That's
Like
cheapest.
the black stuff at Christmas. The black.
No,
bottle.
that's Cava Freixenet. No, but I'm talking about like real champagne is very, very hard to get. I mean, at a good quality price. I mean, if it's good champagne, and this was exceptional. So.
I'd rather have that than some of the champagnes I've had. but
Absolutely.
I probably had shit.
Oh yeah,
champagne.
absolutely. I was just as a benchmark.
I'm gonna have some more.
Have some more, George. The sparkling.
it.
George,
You know
is,
it.
George is
I'm a
gearing up for
sparkling
after the
kinda guy.
glass.
For after
That's
the
right.
glass.
George, do we have some announcements while you're?
We do. I'm so
while
glad you
you-
asked because
Yes.
there's a lot going on with
What's
us.
going on, George?
SoFlo these days, and especially this weekend, starting tomorrow, the George Rodriguez show. I'm going to have some people from, they got the Cinema Paradiso Southern version now, and they're going to be showing a kind of mixture documentary musical about some local artists featuring Jim Worcester, who's a friend of mine, and so the people from Cinema Paradiso who are
Is
making
it
this
called
film-
the Rat Opera?
No, although I was at that. I was at the Red Opera.
Was that down there?
No, it was at the Fort Lauderdale location.
My friend and bass player for Kaler, Carrie Peak, is in that.
No way, because I have a lot of friends
Really?
in the Rat Opera, including Rat. He's not a friend; he's an acquaintance. But Mindy, who's in the Rat Opera, and just a lot of those people.
Carrie's the guy with the beard, bald head.
Yeah, now I do. Now I know who he is.
Yeah.
I posted pictures of being in the Rat Opera. But anyway, a lot of those same people. It's a very, as a local musician, that a lot of people know a lot of people, and they'll be here. The people that put the film together, and the people from Cinema Paradiso, and maybe even Daphne Rose will be here on the show tomorrow. My show, the George Rodriguez show, from 12 to 3, followed by the She Play. She's only rockandroll.com, and lately, and that's hosted by Sonny Fox, and it's live, and he's been playing clips from interviews with comedians that he's done over the years, and then samples of their comedy. So normally they play music, but since he's doing that
Great.
crossover thing, he's been playing a lot of audio comedy. And then on Saturdays, a very exciting Saturday over here. Oh wait, well, at 4 o'clock, it's the Totally Awesome Retro Party hosted by Gnarly Charlie. It's a 3-hour music show, retro, like a lot of 80s.
You have Gnarly Charlie on SoFlo Radio?
Gnarly Charlie's on SoFlo Radio.
That's awesome. I used to listen to him all the time.
Doing our Totally Awesome Retro Party there. And then on Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon, we have the Amigo Show with Larry the Amigo Milian, and he's got a great Rolodex. Billy Corbin called in last week. This guy knows everybody.
crow.
And then there's later that evening, we've got we've got music shows and things like that. Inoculative Express in the South Florida Music Show. You can check those out online. But then later that night at 7:30, it's the Fort Lauderdale Strikers versus the Atlanta Silverbacks. Soccer, South Florida soccer here live. Play-by-play starts at 7:30, hosted by our own Bruce Silverman from Silverman on Sports, our Monday night sports show here on SoFloRadio.com. Just a lot of stuff going on.
That is
more shows
fantastic.
coming on board very soon. In the next 2 months, there'll probably be another 2 to 3 new shows coming on here because we continue to win by elimination.
There you go.
As radio is competing by not trying, they keep sending new customers our way here at SoFlo, and we're populating this thing, and it's going to be what we always wanted it to be.
That's
There you go.
fantastic.
Which is a voice for those of us who live down here. It's not just about South Florida; it's just from South Florida. It's our perspective on everything that's going on, including beverage culture.
Wow.
It's my favorite show
Yay.
on SoFlo because I get to. I mean, seriously,
Get
this
to try some unbelievable wine.
this show
Every week is a new event.
This show is not just fun because I get to taste great things that it never would have occurred to me to go out and buy. So it's really broadening my horizons. But I get to open up a smart mouth at the parties now.
Yes.
I get to know when somebody else is BSing. It's just really this is really an educational show, and a lot of people say that show is just an excuse to drink, and I go, it's not just an excuse to drink. It's very educational.
Don't you know,
and,
George?
and
He
very
doesn't need an
informative.
excuse to
I
drink.
don't exactly. I don't need an excuse to drink. I'll drink during my show tomorrow. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, that's all
But this
wonderful.
really brings us up to date.
Yeah. And also, up to date, except for how about a live remote?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, next Saturday, May 17th,
Beer Fest.
2014 is the American Brew Fest. 25 breweries on site. VIP from 1 to 2, general admission from 2 to 5, food trucks, barbecue, and so much more. It's at America's Backyard, which is 100 Southwest 3rd Avenue, downtown Fort Lauderdale. We'll be there. It starts at 12 o'clock, ends at 5. We'll be broadcasting. We'll probably do a couple hours, maybe from like 1 to 3.
Can anyone go? Is that for
Anyone who wants to
special
buy a
investors?
ticket, $20 early bird. That means online. Go to www.myamericasbackyard.com. 25 general admission or 35 VIP. Pretty cheap.
Okay. What's the VIP get you?
The VIP gets you in early, and so you can go in without such a crowd and taste all the beers, and it also gets you probably like
Well
free
worth
hot
it.
dogs and hamburgers. Yeah, it is because there's going to be lines because but they're keeping it pretty small. Only about 1,500 tickets are going to be sold, so that makes it really good.
Nice.
for
No
everybody.
long lines.
Yeah,
I hate
and you get to
lines.
come in and meet your favorite radio show hosts.
Right.
Brett behind
Hubbard.
the glass, Jason, and George.
Absolutely.
Actually, Ivan Bad. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm all over the place.
That's cool. So, yeah, definitely. And Dio hopefully will be there, too. You never know. So, it would be nice if you can come. So, guys, come down to the America's Backyard Brewfest. Definitely. It's next Saturday, May 17th at 1 o'clock. Or you can listen live to us, and we'll definitely have the show up on BuyTheGlassShow.com, where all my archives are, where you can check out all our shows. We've interviewed everybody from winemakers, just like today, the wonderful Scott Peterson.
To home brewers.
To homebrewers like the awesome Russ Bruner, to everybody in between. We've had Garrett Oliver. He just won
The
his
mead
James
guy.
Garrett
Brad
Oliver.
Dahlhofer.
No, Brad Dahlhofer. He's been in studio many times. But we just had Garrett. We had Garrett Oliver on. He just won the
Absolutely.
James Beard Award
Really?
for outstanding business professional in
In New
beverage.
York?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. And just a lot of really great people we've had call in, just too numerous to mention. Great guys like Matthias Frager from the Tikal Winery. I mean, we have real live winemakers, just like Scott that just called in. These people are the pioneers in the industry. This is amazing that we get these guests.
They're
and
making
all
the
of that is-
beverages that you enjoy.
Really, it's
You should wanna
amazing.
know where
Have
they
you
come
ever
from.
drank a glass of KJ Chardonnay? Guess who created that? The guy who just called in. I mean, unbelievable stuff. And we really got to thank Ed Roberts for tonight and
Yeah.
for every other night, really bringing these wonderful guests to light. And it's been a great ride, folks. We're like I said, we're coming up with 200
Don't
shows.
go by that clock either. It's like 2 minutes fast.
No, I'm not worried about that clock.
right.
But I just think that it's great entity because one day there will be some type of crowdfunding for radio shows.
I
But
think my math was off. That's $9.6 million.
Oh,
every
boy.
month.
yeah, get out of here.
I swear to God. 240,000 times 40. Hold on, let me do it again.
Wow.
That is exceptional, but it costs a lot of money to produce wine too. I mean, I'm sure they're all doing pretty good, but
Well, yeah, I think yeah.
I wonder what the wine-
9.6 million.
that is amazing.
What a
That is
revenue
fantastic.
generator.
Yeah, but you see, you know what it is? It's the guy who's got the cojones to make it work initially. And
Right.
to think about getting the whole thing started. Because if you had the ability to set it all up, it would be now's the time to do it with brewers. Because there's a ton of brewers out there who don't have a facility. And if you just brewed for them and sold their beer on a website and had everybody do the same thing, just ripped off this entity that this guy's doing. I mean, let's face it. He seemed pretty cool about it. I was trying to tell him, hey, why don't you do the same thing with beer?
Nakedbeers.com.
Nakedbeers.com. I mean,
Ed
technically,
Roberts, get on it.
I mean, but the problem is that how would you get it started? I mean, it's all about that. I mean, this guy, he's an absolute genius. Rowan Gormley, let's face it. I mean, he's a genius,
Yeah, for sure.
and he's been doing it a long time. So it was a pleasure to talk to all those guys today. I cannot thank Rowan Gormley or Scott Peterson enough for calling in and spending their time here on BuyTheGlassShow.com and talking to us about some of these wonderful wines. They're absolutely amazing. I haven't had a really good California Chardonnay Classique, as I like to call it, the classic style, that I've in a long time. Generally, they're way over oaked, and there's no complexity to them.
This was delicious. I mean, you almost couldn't even tell it was in oak, but it was.
Well, you know what the beauty of it, how you could tell it was in oak, is because it gave you nuances of vanilla and butterscotch
yeah.
and all those really great aspects.
That comes
Good
with wood,
wine
yeah.
shouldn't be that intense oak flavor that's like, whoa.
If I had one question left off for today,
Yes.
it would be who decides who gets the Angels' money? The Rowan? Does he just say, okay, this guy seems to be
No.
doing
It all is one huge entity. It all goes into one bank, and then that bank is used to produce the wine.
Okay.
Then the wine is sold, and the winemaker takes. So if we're selling this for $15, that's cut. That $15 is split between the winemaker and the company.
Okay.
And the profit goes into their profit. But that universal bank of money goes into the production of the wines. Because you got to think, guys, if they have how many wines
I just
are
wanna
available?
be their
it's
banker.
I think it's like 30 wines that are available. Let's say, or 30
Something like
wineries.
that. There's a lot of wines, yeah.
It's like a couple hundred wines. It takes a lot to produce those wines. It's not cheap.
Oh,
but
yeah.
think about it. That
Just
$9
the
million
land
a
alone.
month. That $9 million a month. They're allowed to invest that and make
Even
more wine.
the interest. Well, no, make the interest off of that
Yeah.
because that
I'm
initial
interested in
escrow
that.
is used to make the wine, but the money that they have in escrow that they make interest on, they're allowed to keep as profit. I mean, that's legal, and that's a genius.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? And that's hey, that's America. I mean, he should more than welcome to do that because you know what? It enables him to be to give us even better variety. And look, if you're the type
Brilliant
of person
idea.
who's going out and spending $40 a month on wine, this is definitely
Why
the way to
wouldn't
do.
you sign up here?
Yeah, folks, I'm telling you, these wines are top notch. These wines are first class. You have some of the pioneers in the industry creating some of the most amazing stuff that you can get, and I just think that they're going to speak for themselves, and the variety is exceptional. Let's face it, when you go out to the retail market and you look for wines anyway, other than the ones you've already heard the names of, you're kind of looking around for the best value, aren't you, Jason?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I
That
mean,
and
you
the
want-
labels. I'm a sucker for labels.
Well, okay, you're a sucker for labels that look good, artistry.
Absolutely.
What about this one?
Oh, I love it. I the rocks and the
This
like,
wine
the little
rocks.
graphics
It really
in the back.
does.
Yeah, no.
Everything about it, and then he's got the really cool
I even
anagram.
commented on it. I asked
He
him.
did, you did. So the retro obsessive extraction.
Yeah.
It sounds just totally cool. Definitely.
That's great. How do you like my circumcision job?
It was you're
I'm a
a
pro.
moil.
Something to that.
You are a moil. Could you perform a
That's
brisk on me?
Yeah.
It's actually a brisk, right? It's a
It's
brisk.
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 Yeah, it's very brisk.
The wine's brisk. Fantastic.
Did we have other wines we didn't even get to, or?
Oh,
No.
possibly do, yeah.
Did we
You'll
really?
be coming home with me, though. Sorry.
All right, no problem.
But
I'll take the glass
I'll
after
tell you
the
guys.
glass.
I'll tell you guys how they are. But these two here are perfect for
That's
after
so
the glass.
kind of you.
Absolutely
no
wonderful.
problem.
Thanks to everybody involved, and thank you guys for.
Yeah,
just
still got
being
to
here.
talk a little bit more.
Oh, I'm quite
Right.
all right with that. I just wanted to thank everybody, and I wanted to say, as we
30
enjoy all
seconds?
these wonderful wines responsibly, we like to do so. Please do not drink and drive. Please do not overconsume. Do not consume under 21. Enjoy all these wonderful products that we have on BuyTheGlassShow.com responsibly. If you're pregnant, wait the 9 months. The kid will thank you.
Yeah.
And he won't come out looking a little funny, right?
Right.
Is that was that over the top?
Yeah, it's a little over the top.
Oh, I just ruined the whole show,
Fetal
didn't I?
alcohol syndrome.
That
We'll have
was
to censor.
Yeah,
That was George who said it.
I did that. I think about it all the time. My mom
Okay.
was an alcoholic. You see what happened,
George.
You see what happened.
Thanks so much to everybody involved tonight. It was absolutely wonderful. Scott Peterson, Rowan Gormley, and then, of course, Ed Roberts. You guys are wonderful. Everybody have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next Thursday at 6. All right. Take care and be safe out there.
All right, thank you. Don't tell me what to do.
Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood. This is SoFloRadio.com.